If your puppy is demonstrating sudden aggression, then you're probably feeling a little bit overwhelmed and a little lost on where to begin. Well, in this video, I'm gonna be talking about why your puppy is probably demonstrating aggression and what you can do to prevent it from occurring again. If you're interested in learning those techniques, keep watching. What's up, guys? It's Jenna with Dog Liaison, where I coach you on how to enhance your dog's mental health. I'm a professional dog trainer, and all we do at Dog Liaison is work with dogs facing serious behavioral issues. Dogs that are demonstrating aggression, anxious behavior, stereotypies, and high arousal reactivity. And in my signature program, the Recovering Rover program, we coach our clients through the process of recovering their dog's perception of threats to prevent aggression occurring in the future. And so in this video, I want to talk about specifically puppies that are demonstrating aggression and how we tackle that. Because when you have a puppy that is demonstrating aggression early on, there are actually more possible causes or more possible considerations to come into play than if your dog was older and was demonstrating aggression. So I'm going to give you some potential causes behind the aggression, and of course I'm going to be giving you some actionable steps that you can implement in order to prevent the aggression from occurring again. The first thing I want to talk about, though, is that if your dog is demonstrating early aggressive behaviors, high stress, which is to say your dog is growling, your dog is giving air snaps, your dog is giving warning signals, I don't like that, and if you keep going and pushing your luck, we're gonna have to escalate. If those early aggression signals are occurring, you do not want to punish them. I know that goes against everything you've always ever heard. I know it goes against our gut response, but here's why. Let's say hypothetically your dog is growling, but honestly you can choose to pop in any quote unquote aggressive behavior that you would like here. But let's say your dog is growling. If you go and you respond with aggression back to him, that is you yell no, you hold his collar, you tap his nose, whatever. If you choose to fight aggression with aggression, that's just adding more negativity into the space, that's resulting in a negative outcome. It's causing more rift between the two of you. Additionally, you may get rid of the growl. You may have a dog that no longer growls at you, which is, I guess, good. But you've also removed the warning signal. Your dog is still going to demonstrate more aggression behavior. It's just that now you don't get a warning before he actually bites. So growls, or even air snaps for that matter, are not necessarily like desirable. I'm not saying, yay, hooray, unicorns and daisies, your dog growled at you. I'm just saying that's not something we want to get rid of altogether. Instead, we want to treat the reason that the growl or the air snap or the bite is occurring. We want to treat the cause of the aggressive behavior. And that is the first takeaway I want you guys to learn today, which is that aggression, whether it's growls, bites, lunging, attacking in any way, is symptomatic of some other thing. Okay, and we're gonna talk about what of these other causes or reasons behind the aggression in a moment. But the event, though it's scary that your dog bit you, the bite is not really what we need to fixate on. The cause of the bite is what we need to fixate on. We need to resolve what's causing the bite from occurring in order to prevent the bite from occurring in the first place. Now, there are actually 10 different types of aggression, which I did a full video explaining all 10 of those. If you're interested in checking that out, you can click it there. But there are technically 10 different types of aggression. A good handful of them are actually physically related. So that is to say that the dog is in some sort of pain, or the dog has some sort of physical condition, sensory condition that is impairing his ability to respond to the world appropriately. Pain is absolutely a first cause, and as this pertains to puppies, when we're thinking about pain, I think a lot of times vets undermine the potential risk for puppies to have pain, and absolutely a young dog can deal with some sort of physiological pain problem, but more likely than not, it's going to be their teeth. And the perfect example that I always use about this was in our Recovering Rover program, our Rover graduate, Flora. When Flora joined us, she was a constant mouthy biter. Her mom called it shark biting. And she would chew on the leash, and she would chew on mom's arm, and she would do a whole bunch of bite, 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 bite. She was frustrated. She was incredibly frustrated, which was motivating the bite. But as always, I recommended that they visit the vet to make sure that there was no sort of physical health issue. And sure enough, Flora had a tooth problem. And when they took her to the vet did find something going on with her teeth and they needed to finish that situation. And I'm kidding you not, as soon as they fixed that tooth problem, Flora never shark bite again. To this day, throughout the entire Recovering Rover program, never did that shark biting behavior again. When you have a dog that is instigating some sort of bite, the first thing you need to be ruling out is pain. And that is why the very first step you need to be taking is going to the vet. Now, I know that this goes against everything we've always learned, because the first thing we do is we want to call a dog trainer, we're going to get a trainer out, we're going to get a fixed problem, da 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 da. But I'm here to tell you, if you do hire a trainer, and they don't tell you, go to the vet before you work on any behavior protocol, that is actually a red flag. Every single client that I work with must get ruled out by a vet or I won't see them. You should be finding a dog training coach that has that same ethical standard, because they appreciate that pain is a very significant cause for aggressive behavior. But let's say, for argument's sake, that you're watching this video and you have already ruled out health problems. You know that your dog's teething is not causing the aggression. You know that your dog is not in any pain. You've taken him to the vet and that's been ruled out. Assuming all of that is true, the next big significant factor is actually fear. Statistically speaking, aggression is correlated with fear. And actually a more accurate way of looking at this is that aggression is correlated with a perception of threat. There is some sort of threat in the environment that the dog considers a problem to their safety and to their ability to be the fittest in the universe. So because of this, they are going to respond using their fight, flight, or freeze response. Now, this is one of the reasons why I tell people that no matter what age your puppy is, no matter how old your dog is, if they're demonstrating aggression, it is normal. What your puppy is doing right now is a normal behavior. The fact that your dog is biting you and growling at you and demonstrating some sort of aggression is a normal response when given their perception of threat. So I know that that isn't necessarily something we think about. I think a lot of times we think of aggression as such a bad, taboo problem, but actually all species demonstrate aggression. All species, including humans, demonstrate aggression. And so your puppy is not doing something so vastly unusual. And what this means is that we need to be looking at it through your puppy's lens. And this is really where, in my opinion, the fun kind of kicks in. You know, one of the reasons that I work with aggression cases and anxiety cases is because for me, there's always an element of a puzzle. I always have to do some sort of investigating. It's very much like detective work, because I have to kind of get through the mind of the individual, of the dog, to really see what are they seeing that is causing them to believe that this behavior is necessary. So here's where the real fun begins. If you think that there is some sort of potential threat, if you think that your puppy is deeming some sort of event as a threat and that is eliciting an aggressive response, then we need to be asking a couple of questions. The first question we want to ask is, what is in the environment, and is there anything unusual about it? Maybe it's not unusual, but usually if I see something that came out of nowhere and I've never seen this behavior before, I'm going to look for what else in that dynamic, what else in that context was new as well. So was there a new person? Was it a new environment? Was it a new time of day? Was there a new toy? Was there a new food? Was there a new thing in the environment or context that would make sense given that they're demonstrating this brand new behavior that we've never seen before? If that's not the case, then the next thing I look at is, okay, what was actually occurring? So not necessarily what was in the environment, but what actions were happening in the environment. Was the puppy chewing on a toy? Did the person walk up to the puppy and lean over and put their hands on them? Was there some sort of commotion in the space? What actions were occurring? And then finally, one of the things you want to look at is, what potentially did puppy think was a threat? Or if it's not necessarily a threat, what did puppy think was frustration worthy? What was the problem through puppy's eyes? This could be a lot of things. Some common ones that I see are things like resource guarding, where the puppy had a high value toy and the person approached. It could also be as simple as puppy was resting and sleeping and person came over and put their hands on puppy. I want to look for what through puppy's lens occurred that they think was the problem. Here's what I'll say. Nobody, whether it's you or a stranger, nobody should be touching puppy without puppy's consent. And so, if puppy is off in the corner and sleeping and resting, and you walk over and you put your hands on puppy while he's dead asleep, can you blame the guy for waking up a little snarky? If puppy is dealing with a high value thing that he believes is the most valuable resource he's had in a long time, and then Scary Human comes over and takes it from him, even though Scary Human takes other things from him and he doesn't like that too, so he's probably gonna take this thing. Can you blame the guy for guarding a toy that he thinks is a high value resource? We resource guard our things all the time. We protect our homes, we protect our food. Resource guarding is a normal thing that people do, in the same way that dogs do it. We want to start to look through the puppy's lens, and now we're getting to the root of the cause of the behavior. Now we can actually start seeing change in behavior because we know what's causing the behavior from occurring. Let's say that your puppy has a problem with you putting your hands on him, whether that's because you're picking him up or you're petting him or whatever. Just when you touch him, he gives you some aggression response. What this really means is that you need to be counter-conditioning his perception of you putting your hands on him. So here's how you're going to do this. Every single time that you put your hand on puppy, you're going to yes and treat. And I recommend starting off very lightly. Don't necessarily do it with a tense, like a pressure. You want to start off just by resting and then yes and feed. At first, I recommend doing this with puppy's attention. They should be very aware of what you're doing. They should see what's happening. It should not be spontaneous. That is a criteria that you will build up to later on. Now, when you're doing this activity, you want to make sure that you're giving your treat after you remove your hand. So you don't necessarily want to touch and then reach for the treat and feed at the same time. That would be a little bit chaotic. You want to put your hands on puppy, then remove your hand, and then feed. Good, that was a good one. Next, you'll want to make sure that you can do this game in a rousing situation. So you could do this while also playing toys. You may, get your puppy really stimulated with toys and then naturally kind of tap your puppy on the cheek or on the shoulder with him seeing it occurring. And then if he's okay with that, you yes feed. Here's what you're really doing by doing this activity. What you're doing is you're telling your puppy that the outcome of me putting my hands on you is something that you like, and therefore there's no need to deem it a threat. The outcome of my hands approaching you results in something that you want to replicate again. And so therefore, you don't necessarily need to see this as a danger. Let's say that you've decided that your dog is actually resource guarding. In that case, I really recommend that you look into counter-conditioning resource guarding, and you're gonna want to find a full tutorial on that lesson. You really want to teach your puppy that the outcome of you stepping towards them with their high value thing is something that they like. You see the trend happening here. When you approach puppy, our goal is to get puppy to know that everything is okay, everything is safe, there's no reason for you to feel alarmed. Then you want to start to move into the behavior element. Once puppy knows that he's safe and once puppy is happy that you're there, then you can start to focus on what action should puppy do instead. So if puppy is demonstrating something like he's chewing on a wall that you don't want him chewing on, then you probably want to first make sure that he knows he's safe and you get him knowing that everything is okay Once he knows that, then you tell him, instead of chewing on this wall, I would like you to chew on this nylabone, for example. The most important part here though is that you are aware of your dog's perception and you're not short-sighted. You don't want to just think, oh my gosh, my dog growled at me, it's the end of the universe. You want to embrace the investigation. You want to find out what is causing the behavior. I highly recommend you go scrolling through my aggression and reactivity playlist, which you can find right here. That's going to give you a ton of tutorials to help you through aggression. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit like, consider subscribing for more behavioral challenges videos, and I will see you guys soon.